I was 22 when I graduated with my master's in social work. I was so nervous after I graduated because I was thinking like, hey, now I'm a social worker. People are going to be coming to me for advice or expecting me to be this fountain of wisdom and knowledge. And I'm 22. I have the lived experiences of a 22-year-old and some awesome education. But am I a sage full of wisdom, ready to give advice to anyone who comes to me? In my first job, I worked in a dialysis clinic, and my insecurities about my youthfulness really came up in the beginning. And that is because I think that for patients who have been in the system for a while, they come to expect a certain type for a social worker. They expect a middle-aged woman who is knowledgeable, maternal. It's a certain type they've come to expect. And then they see this young 22-year-old, fresh and peppy, and they're confused. So when I first started, I remember I had patients who would say to me, "You're so young. What do you know?" And I remember how triggering that was for me, because I was thinking what do I know? It was hard, right? It's hard when somebody brings up something that's already your insecurity, right? It's like, I don't know if that ever comes up for you, like in any other circumstances in life where it's like extra hard if it's something you're already feeling bad about. As time passed and as I began my clinical training, so I got supervision outside of my job as in the dialysis clinic with an awesome supervisor who really helped me hone my clinical skills. So like the therapy side of things, the understanding who I am in the context of my relationships with my clients and patients. And as I developed professionally, I began to realize a few different things. First of all, in reaction to the stuff with my patients who were doubting me, I realized that if I was confident, then that would be the best way to, I guess, diffuse those doubts that they would have. So for example, a few years in, and I would have a new patient who would say, "You're so young, what do you know?" What did I say? I said, "Let's try working together, and why don't you see what I can do for you?" And so that's a kind of response that comes with confidence of realizing that I know what I'm doing, and it's okay if they have a certain expectation or whatever. And when it comes to the knowledge thing and about the advice piece, that was probably the most important thing that I learned as I got into the field, as I continued my clinical training. I don't give advice. That's not the role of a social worker, of a therapist, right? So when I think about it from the therapy side of things, no one's coming to me for some sage advice like, "Here's my dilemma. What do I do? How do I change my life?" No. My job is to help guide somebody to the decision that makes the most sense for them. So yes, I do need the skills to help effectively guide people to make decisions and to navigate tricky situations. Yes. But I don't need to give them the answer. Not only because from the principle of it, oh, I won't tell you what to do. That's not it. It's because effective and true change happens for people when they have ownership of their decisions, not when they just come to a therapist and say, "Hey, I'm in this really rough relationship. Should I stay or should I leave?" And then they say, "Leave the relationship." Okay, life changed? No, that's not how great and big changes occur. Real and true change within a person's life occur when they have ownership and they make that decision. They have that sense of personal agency. And so it was a thrilling realization that I don't need to know how to make decisions for people. What I need to know and what I need to continue to practice and encourage is helping people figure out what decision is best for them and empowering them to make that decision and empowering them to take ownership of their circumstances. And so when you think about it that way, age doesn't really factor in on my end, because it's not about, oh, well, I can say from my experience of 30 years that I've seen couples or I've seen people do blah, blah, blah in this situation. No, I don't need to say that. It's about that person and helping them, guiding them to figure out what's right for them at the time that's right for them. And so that's been an amazing realization in my professional development, like I said. And still now, I still, even though I'm no longer 22, I am now 30, I have a young look. And so people still think I'm 22. And so it is quite interesting to kind of encounter people's assumptions about me based on how old they think I am and how experienced they think I am. And so this is how I think of it. So let's say people meet me, they think I'm 22. I feel like it's a superpower. Like, it's kind of like knowing Spanish and no one thinks you know Spanish. And so they speak in front of you in Spanish and you secretly understand. That's what it's like to look super young, but have professional experience, personal experience, and maturity that's not expected. So it's more like fun to see how it plays out. And so, like, I don't feel a need to prove myself to somebody and like they meet me and they think I'm young, and I don't feel the need to just start spouting off my experiences. If I did, then that would, I think, be a manifestation of insecurity. If I felt the need to just start saying, oh, well, I've been in the field for this amount of years and blah, blah, blah. No, I don't feel that. When you're confident in yourself and in your experiences, you do not feel the need to prove yourself to people. You're comfortable allowing the circumstances and the situation and the encounter to play out naturally, where your expertise will come out in a natural way. So for me, that's how I feel when I am, let's say, working with new students because I work in a social work school, or a new client. I am comfortable letting them recognize my expertise at maybe a slower rate. I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm young, I need to quickly make sure they realize that I've been in the field for 8 years. No, not at all. So it's been an interesting journey, and a lot, obviously, if you can tell, a lot of self exploration, I guess, and thought in regard to how I make meaning of this, my young look, in the context of my profession, right? In a non-professional sense, it's like been kind of fun. So for example, when I was pregnant, I guess close to 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, it was really fun for me when people would say, oh, it's so sweet, this is your first, and just assume it was my first. And like, I got to like smirk and be like, yeah, it's my fourth. And they'd be like, what? Your fourth? They couldn't handle it. And like, I don't know, I guess I kind of get a kick out of it. Maybe that's, I don't know. That's just my personality. I don't know. It's just super, I kind of like, it's fun. Once you know what someone's expectations are, like, and you start to see a pattern in people's reactions, like, instead of that being triggering, when you have that confidence, like I'm saying, it becomes, you're able to quietly kind of sit back, watch it unfold, and not feel triggered, not feel insecure, not feel worried, and like you're able to have that quiet confidence of letting things play out, like I said. And so thank you to this awesome audience of people who are willing to be on this journey with me, as trying different things out to see what is appropriate for the podcast world, which I guess is really just whatever for my podcast, I guess it's whatever I want to talk about. That's what's appropriate. But I'm just trying different things out. So thanks for bearing with me. I know that the first few episodes are kind of a lot of trial and error and getting used to monologuing to myself at first. Until you listen to it, it's to myself. So I'm very appreciative if you've kind of stuck around to listen to this and hear me out. I'm excited for what the future topics might be, and I just wanted to say thank you. And oh yeah, this is a little Q&A that I will allow for. So, if at the beginning of this episode you were thinking, how in the universe did she get her master's degree at 22? I will tell you. So my birthday is in October, and so I graduated from high school when I was still 17. So like I was at the younger end of my class. Then I did undergrad in 3 years because I overloaded credits. I would do some semesters. I did 21 credits a semester, which I know is crazy, but I did it. And so then add 3 years to 17, and I graduated at 20. Then I started my master's program, which was a 2-year program, and I graduated at 22. Ta-da! That's the math of how that happened. Okay, thank you for listening to Hope While You Cope with Sarah, and I am excited for next time. Take care, and with any feedback or questions or anything, feel free to email me at hopewhileyoucope@gmail.com. All right. Bye.